So our next guest has been named as the Best Teacher Award by the MBAs. She has worked at Cornell. She has multiple publications in very highly respected journals. But she has an even greater achievement from a Sloan perspective that she's probably not aware of. So I'm on the current Sloan program and well into the valley of death. And so to keep us from jumping off cliffs, we had a 2017 Sloan came in to give us advice. And he gave us 5 pieces of advice. The 5th piece of advice was, if you can get to do a course with Simona Botti, do it. So please give a welcome to Simona. Thank you.
Okay, well, good afternoon. I know that the game is starting right now. I'm Italian, so I've been very relaxed throughout the workout. Can't care less. I was supporting Iceland just because they're all very good looking, and so it was just a pleasure to see them running around in the field, but it didn't last long. So I'm back to be agnostic. But if you know if somebody scores, let me know. If you just want to go to the pub, I understand you. You don't have to be here. So you're going to tell me when I have 5 minutes left, right? Okay. So I have a lot of slides. Clearly, I do not have the time to go through all the slides. So I'll just skip and see where the conversation leads us. Now, I was told to tell you something about these new trends in business and leadership. I'm not sure if I know much about this stuff. But I know that a key element in leadership and business, I think, is to understand and manage the overabundance of information and choice that characterize our modern society. And choice and information has been an obsession of mine. I've been studying a lot this idea of choice and information as sources of control. And so I just want to share with you some of the things that I've learned, some of the things that I've studied. I'm not offering any solutions. It's the good thing of being an academic. I mean, who cares? Like, you find the solution. I find the problems. But you're all smart and you're all thinking about like broad pictures and big ideas. And so hopefully this is going to be something that interests you. Okay? Good. So let me start by asking you to imagine like this thought experiments. You're here. You go to one of these cafes on campus, and then one of our catering people comes to you and asks your help to identify a new yogurt flavor that the cafe wants to stock for the next year. And so it gives you like a choice of 4 different yogurt flavors. And I say, like, can you taste one of these? And can you tell us whether you like it or not, so that, you know, next year we're going to stock it or not stock it? And the flavors that it asks you to taste are this: mint, cocoa, cinnamon, and brown sugar. And I say, like, look, so far, people seem to have liked all of them. They're all pretty good flavors. And so we want to know but we're still collecting data. We want to know your opinion. Now imagine that you can be in one of these 2 situations. The first situation is in which the catering guy tells you, pick one. Freely choose one of these, you taste it, and then you tell me how much you like it. And the second situation is that the catering guy says, like, I'm going to randomly tell you which one of these flavors you're going to taste. Okay? So this is my first question to you, and now there is technology happening here, which always makes me a little bit scared. The first question to you is, which of these 2 situations you like more? You think you prefer? When you choose the yogurt yourself, or when the yogurt is assigned to you at random? Happening, actually. Great. All right? So all of you want to choose the yogurt yourself. The second question is, even more people want to choose the yogurt. So which of these 2 options do you think you prefer? Well, no, sorry. Which of these, this is the one before, right? All right. The next one is, I told you that technology. In which of these 2 situations you think you will like the yogurt better? So the yogurt that you choose or that is given to you, which of these two cases you think you're going to like the yogurt better? When you choose the yogurt or when the yogurt is assigned to you at random? Is this clear, the question? Do I just wait? There's only one option? Is it my fault? Whose fault is it? You, I knew that, I couldn't trust you. All right. So anyway, show the hand. When do you think you're going to like the yogurt better? When you choose it yourself or when is it assigned to you? How many people think that you're going to like the yogurt better when you choose it? All right, pretty clear, okay? Great. Now let's move to another situation, okay? Same thing as before, but now the difference is these are the yogurt flavors, all right? Say chili powder, tarragon, celery seed, and the coloring guys say like, so far people think that these are disgusting, okay? But we're still collecting a little bit more data. So same situation, but instead of being presented with 4 tasty yogurts, you're presented with 4 yucky yogurts. I'm going to ask you the same questions. Which option do you prefer? Now you have 4 yucky yogurts. When you choose it yourself or when the yogurts are sent to you at random? Bit more than before, the non-choosers, okay? Okay, still seems that the choosers kind of win. The non-choosers are kind of going up, down. All right, enough? And now the second question is, again, when do you think you're going to like the yogurt better? When, or dislike the yogurt less, in a sense? When you choose it yourself, or when is it assigned to you at random? Do we have the same problem as before, with only one option? Oh, no, great. Oh, wow. Okay, I like this. Good. All right, so pretty much what you're saying is that regardless of whether the options in front of you are desirable or undesirable, you prefer choosing yourself, and you think that as a result, you're going to be happier with the yogurt, happier with the outcome of your choice if you choose yourself rather than if the choice is randomly assigned to you. Okay? Now, I did this experiment. This is when I was doing my PhD. This is my PhD thesis. So I brought students in the lab. This was the lab at Chicago. I did my PhD at Chicago. And either they chose freedom, they chose freely, or they were assigned at random by the experimenter 1 out of 4 flavors. Either these 4 flavors were all tasty, or they were all disgusting. So if you were part of this experiment, similar to the third experiment I just said, you could either choose a good flavor among 4 good flavors, or not choose among 4 good flavors, or not choose among all bad flavors, or choose among all bad flavors. One of these 4 situations. And then I would ask you, after you take the yogurt and you eat it, how much you like the yogurt that you ate. And I also actually weighted the amount of yogurt left in the cup. So this was really disgusting for me, because at the end of the day, I just spend my time kind of scooping out the yogurt left in each cup and measure it and thinking about myself, what am I doing with my life? Am I like the worst idea ever doing this PhD? Anyway, luckily I got some results. All right, so it was both like a kind of a self-report measure of liking or satisfaction with the outcome, and a behavioral report of satisfaction by looking at the quantity consumed. So these are the results. This is for preference. I asked the choosers how much they like choosing, and the non-choosers how much they like not choosing, on a scale from 1 to 9, and these are the averages. If you see, this is a main effect. Regardless of whether the yogurts are tasty or yucky, the choosers like being choosers more than the non-choosers like being non-choosers, which is in line with what you have said so far. The interesting result is this one. That when I looked at satisfaction, how much they like whatever they consumed, that they chose themselves or that it was given to them, when the yogurts were tasty, the students agreed with you, the participants agreed with you. If you're a chooser, like whatever you taste more than if you're a non-chooser. But the interesting result is this one. This one is what gave me a PhD. This is what gave me a job. And I'm talking about it 20 years after, so give me something to talk about for a long time, okay? So I love this, this one, I love it. But why I love it? Because it says that choosers actually like the outcome of their choice less than non-choosers when the options in front of them were all undesirable. And even in terms of quantity consumed, same pattern. Actually, this is not significant, but this is the one I'm more interested in, is significant. So they even ate less of the yogurt that they picked relative to those who did not pick this disgusting yogurt. So why do you think so? And this is, against your predictions, but also against the prediction of economists and psychologists who have studied this idea of choice and freedom of choice for many years. Why do you think this happens? Why, if we have all undesirable things in front of us, we want to choose, and why do you think we want to choose, but we end up being worse off, less happy with the outcome of our choice? What do you think? Please. So you had expectations that it would be good and then in the end it's not good. True, but the non-choosers also could have that expectations, right? So still there is a difference between choosers and non-choosers. Yeah?
It's a regret. That's the cognitive bias of regret.
It's a regret. We are getting there. Yep.
It seems that there is a bias between tasty and yucky.
In the what sense?
How we don't tolerate, in the second case,
Yeah.
bad choices that we make or that are made for us.
Yeah, I think it's going there. Let's hear one last comment. Yeah?
Because you blame yourself for making a bad choice?
Right. So this idea of regret, this idea here that is coming, also maybe an expectation, well, it's my explanation, and I've done more studies about it, is that choice comes with responsibility, right? And we all think about, oh, well, I can do it. I'm an adult. I want to be responsible. I'm supposed to be responsible, so I prefer having this choice. I prefer taking life, in my own hands and having control of what happens to me. Great, right? Unfortunately, responsibility amplifies the affective reactions to what happens to us. So if something happens to us, we say like, well, I made it. I take credit for it. And so this affective reaction to that good thing becomes even better. But if the thing that happened is bad or is negative, not only have a bad or negative things to think about it, but I bring it up to myself. I am to blame in a sense, or not even just to blame. I may still have made the best choice, but still I brought these bad things to me. And so something that is bad becomes even worse. So the non-choosers, they like something that is good, and they like it less, something that is bad. But the choosers, they amplify the liking or the disliking. This bump here and this bump here is due to this decision responsibility. Something that is good becomes even better because I brought it to myself. Something that is bad becomes even worse because I brought it to myself. We do not seem to take that into consideration when we talk about preference for choice. We do not seem to account for the possibility that this choice is going to make us worse off. We want to choose because we think we know what we like and we dislike, but we do not take into consideration these affective reactions to the outcome of our choice. Okay? So now, what are the situations in which we choose from among undesirable things? And this is something that I remember my advisor asked me, you're in consumer behavior, like when does it happen that in real life you have to choose among all undesirable things? When do you think? Can you think about situations that rare? I can think about a lot of situations. Yeah. The what? Career, yes. Do you want to do this job or this other job? I would like to go on vacation, and not do any job. But unfortunately, I have to make some money. That's a good point. What else? Financial services, definitely to me. I have no clue what I'm doing all the time. In fact, right now, I'm like a little bit broke, by the way. What else? What difficult decisions? Yeah, firing someone. Like as an academic, you have to go in these committees. Which committee do you want to work on? Like none of them. Let me do my own things. I don't want to do any administration. One of the situations that I think we have to make choices among all undesirable things is medical decision making. And so when I was thinking about my thesis, I came across this article in the New Yorker in which it says a generation ago, patients argue for more information, more choice, more say about treatment. To a great extent, this is exactly what they've received, a superabundance of information, often several treatment options, and the right to choose among them. as this new responsibility downs on patient. You see, responsibility downs on patient. Some embrace it with a sense of pride and furious determination, but many find the job of being a modern patient, which is locked through medical uncertainty, to be lonely, frightening, and overwhelming. And this seems to resonate with the yogurt stuff. Yogurt is mundane, who cares about yogurt? This is stuff that is more consequential. Now, this is a happy day, so I do not want to make you sad. But unfortunately, I studied this very difficult decision, which is decisions about continue or withdraw life-sustaining treatments. This is a terrible choice, terrible decision. Unfortunately, more and more, we are confronted with this choice because technology in the medical decision domain make it possible to prolong the life of people that maybe 20, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have this technology available to them. And so this decision of life or death is going to be more and more of a choice. And more of a choice that us as autonomous patients or autonomous proxy are supposed to make rather than the doctors because of this shift from paternalism to autonomy in medical decision making. So I'm working with a lot of doctors in ICU because, of course, this is a huge problem in terms of costs, right, of having people on life-sustaining treatment is very costly for society. And it's a very difficult decision to make. So anyway, to make a long story short, I collected some qualitative data with parents of newborns, so it's even more sad. Parents of newborns that were born with severe diseases, and then they were put under life-sustaining treatment, and then a decision had to be made after a couple of weeks of whether or not to continue the life-sustaining treatment. If the life-sustaining treatment was interrupted, the baby would die. If it was continued, the baby probably would survive with severe neurological impairments. So I talked to these parents. All the parents went to the same experience. They all, the decision was made to discontinue life-sustaining treatment, and the baby died. Now, the main difference from my perspective is that one NICU was in the United States, and so there was this idea of autonomy. So the choice of whether to interrupt or continue was made by the parents. The other NICU was in France, and there was a more paternalistic approach, so the decision was made by the doctor. And what these parents overwhelmingly told us is a qualitative data, because luckily I didn't have that many parents that I could interview, is that the Americans, they seem to regret, going back to some of the interventions before. They would say, what if? What if I could, what if I chose something else? While the French parents, they seem to be more fatalistic, and they say, like, there is nothing else to do. This is the best thing I could have done. So it seemed that the act of not making a choice didn't bring this terrible responsibility, and these parents were more able to cope with the outcome of this decision. So I brought this in the lab, and I gave people a scenario similar to the yoga scenario, in which I pretty much told you the same story I just told you, and I asked participants, in this case were students, whether they wanted to, if they were again the choosers, who had to choose between life-sustaining treatment and interruption, and the non-choosers that were told the doctor chose for you whether to continue or withdraw. The majority of the choosers actually asked to withdraw medical decision making, withdraw the life support treatment, which is actually the best decision from a medical perspective. And so I'm comparing here those who chose to withdraw and let the baby die, and those for whom the doctor chose to withdraw and let the baby die. And then I ask, how do you think you're going to feel as a result of this choice? And so this is all hypothetical, of course, but this is in line with what the real parents told me. That when you choose, here negative emotions is the dependent variable, you feel more negative emotion, less ability to cope than when you do not choose. In this study, there was another condition in which everything was the same, but we tried to kind of take away the sense of responsibility from this act of choosing. And so we said, imagine that the doctor tells you there is nothing else you can do but choose to withdraw. The choice is yours, though. If you introduce this framing of the choice, the effect goes away. And now there is no difference in the amount of negative emotion the choosers and non-choosers have. So think about the power of framing choices and the power that you may have as a leader in how you frame these decisions when you think the choice can be too difficult for people to bear, or at least keep in mind the choice comes with decision responsibility, and there is a way in which you can frame these decisions. Okay? The last part, but in terms of choice, and probably the last part of the talk, forget about it. This is actually, no, this is interesting. This is also in terms of preferences. I ask choosers how much you like being a chooser, and non-choosers how much you like being a non-chooser. Here the results are slightly different. So here the choosers hate choosing, and the non-choosers were pretty happy not to choose. Okay, this is different from what we saw before with the yogurt. But then I asked them another question, which was like, to the choosers, I asked, would you have preferred having the doctors make the choice for you? And they hate that too. So they don't want to choose, but they don't want the doctor to choose. Right? So I think this is actually interesting, because this is why, for example, religious people are usually happy. This is what, or happier. This is what at least the literature shows. Because you don't choose, the doctors don't choose, there is somebody else that chooses for you. And so you leave that responsibility to an even greater entity, and that can solve this problem here. Here you don't want to choose because you understand that you have a responsibility. At the same time, you don't want the doctor to choose because it's your job to choose, because you want to have this control, because you're supposed to have that control. There are norms. Anyway, so the last thing has to be with charitable giving. This is a more recent study that I ran. I think it's interesting. So far, it's kind of the negative consequences of choice and freedom of choice for your own welfare, your own well-being. Are there also more kind of larger or broader societal consequences, negative consequences of choice and freedom of choice? All right, so imagine that I'm telling you, you are a donor, you want to donate money to charity. You have these 4 girls that you can choose from. All 4 girls that went through one of these cleft palate surgeries. Smile Train is a charity who does these surgeries, but they still come from, underdeveloped, or developing countries, and they are, they're poor, and so they need financial help to thrive. Okay? Now, if I tell you how you should make this choice of which girl to pick to donate money, mostly, I can ask you, but most of the people say, I should donate the money to the neediest child, right? The one who needs my money the most. I'm not telling you who is the neediest, right? I'm just showing you 4 pictures. Now what happens? Who do you think is the cutest girl? Angelica. Okay? Most of the people say that Angelica is the cutest, and Vera here, poor girl, is the least cute. There is something in psychology called the beauty premium. People who are beautiful are also supposed to perceive to be less in need than people who are less beautiful. Because, they're beautiful, they're successful, they're rich, there are all these positive things that come with beauty, okay? And of course, the opposite with the lack of beauty. So if I ask people to pick which girl to donate to, this is what they pick: Angelica. Now, this is weird, because Angelica is perceived to be the most beautiful, therefore is also perceived to be the least in need. So if you ask people, which one do you think is most in need? They say Vera. They think that Angelica is the least in need because she's the most beautiful. But when they pick who they want to donate to, they pick Angelica. So they pick the least in need, but the most beautiful child. Now, in this condition, we told them the one that you pick is going to be your sponsored kid, right? The one that you know what's going on, that tell you information about how she's doing in life, and so on and so forth. We had another condition, a group of people, same situation, which we tell the kid that you pick, you are not going to sponsor it. Somebody else, a random person, is going to take the kid and sponsor the kid. You just choose it for that person. How do you think now the results change? Now people pick Vera, the one that is the most perceived as to be the most in need, although the least beautiful. Okay? So similar results, if you ask people, again, to choose one of the girls to donate, they select Angelica. This is a very strong, very robust effect. If you ask people the likelihood, you don't ask choose a girl, but you ask rate the likelihood that you would donate to each one of these girls, then now there is no difference between the girls. Actually, this is the most rational answer. You should just pick one at random. Right? So it seems that this idea of choice, and this is something I'm working more recently, comes with a little bit of selfishness. The moment in which you think about choice, you think about what's good for you. So I have a lot of bad information, but I don't think I have time. The whole idea of bad information, how many minutes do I have? 1, 2? 2.5. Oh, wow. When I run, 2.5 minutes are endless, right? So when I speak, I just go like this. So maybe I can put one more here. So this comes from Vanity Fair, which is a great academic journal that you may have read about. So it's a source of my research. So, so this is the story. This is Enver Chiki and this is Sergey Brin. Enver Chiki is the founder of 23andMe. Maybe you have heard about this company. It's a company that pretty much you spit into a tube, you send the tube to 23andMe, and they trace your genome. They look at all pretty much the probability that you also will develop certain genetic diseases in the future because they design whatever your genome is, okay? So what happened is that Sergey Brin did take the 23andMe test that the wife started and figured it out that he would have Parkinsons. He had very high likelihood to develop Parkinsons. So Vanity Fair tells us, Brin read the risk as possibly having only about 10 good years left. So what did he do? He began exercising even more relentlessly than usual. He began drinking coffee even though he doesn't like coffee because some doctors recommend it. And then, of course, they donated a lot of money to the Michael J. Fox Foundation to increase research. So this is all good, right? Knowing that there is something unavoidable because Parkinson's so far, there is not much that you can do. Unavoidable and negative in the future makes you behave very well in the present. However, what Brin also did is started a relationship with a much younger Google employee and left his wife. Bye. Now, I'm not judging, you know, maybe good for him or good for her or they seem pretty happy now, so fine. But here too is a little bit like choice. If you ask people, do you want to know if something bad is going to happen in the future? Do you want to know if you're going to develop certain genetic disease in the future? People say yes. Why? Because I want to be in control of my life. I want to know, I want to plan, I want to make sure that I'm there, ready. In reality, what I think it happens is that this knowledge, especially when the future is undesirable and unavoidable, comes with a mixed bag. On one hand, you know that this thing happens, and so you can make the most of your life now, maybe. On the other hand, you can start being like obsessed about these negative things that is going to happen in the future and destroy your happiness even now. So you're not going to be happy later, you're not going to be happy even now. And maybe you also make questionable decisions that you wouldn't have made if you had not known about this unavoidable future, okay? So like choice, people want to have information, they think that this is about having control in your life, but like choice, there are certain negative outcomes that you want to know. I know, I have a lot of things. Maybe next year I'm going to show you the rest. It's unavoidable, undesirable future looming with you. So the conclusion is that people do not necessarily want what is good for them. They want choice and information even when this decreases their current well-being. These preferences may be explained, I think, by a desire for personal control and responsibility. Yeah, but you can think about maybe there are other ways of getting personal control rather than kind of looking for choice and information. You can also think about other ways in which the negative consequences of choice and information processing can be reduced as managers or as leaders, and how can managers, public policymakers use these insights to build their offers. And I leave you with these very interesting choices and information and question. And do we have more questions from you guys? No, no questions. Bye.